Tom and Gerry Show is sponsored by findavenue.ie.
For over 10 years, findavenue.ie has been working in the Dublin area, helping thousands of companies with all their venue needs. From corporate parties to away days, training seminars, conferences, summer barbecues to Christmas parties. The lot.
As a pair of comedians who know what it's like when the wrong venue gets booked for the wrong occasion, we can assure you that findavenue.ie is the go-to service when you're looking for a venue for your upcoming event. Simply contact them at findavenue.ie and they'll do the rest, saving you precious time and hassle.
Best of all, findavenue.ie is absolutely free to use.
Get out of here.
I'm telling you now, with findavenue.ie, free means free. No hidden costs or sneaky charges, all backed up with an incredible team offering you great customer service throughout the whole process. If you need a venue for anything from corporate day out to a quiz night, a gala dinner, or even a virtual event, findavenue.ie is your one-stop shop for all.
Head over to findavenue.ie to see how they can help you with your next event.
Thanks again to this week's sponsor for the Tom and Gerry Show, findavenue.ie.
Bonjour, Tom.
Oh, bonjour. Avida saying, what else? Right, okay.
Yes.
That caught me by surprise, I have to say.
You're talking to a well-travelled man. I've just gotten back from my holidays. Hello, everybody. You're welcome back to the Tom and Gerry Show. I'm Gerry McBride. He's Tom O'Mahony, and I've just come back from my travels.
Oh, my God. What part of the world were you in?
Well, you might have guessed by it, Tom. I've been to London.
Oh, yeah, okay, yeah.
But I threw in a bonjour every now and then just to annoy the English because I'm petty like that. What can I say?
Yeah. I know we've all watched Hello. We know what they think of him. Yeah, we get it.
I was only away for 3 days, Tom, and I didn't miss any recording. But I like to think in that 3 days I annoyed a goodly amount of English people. More than average, one would imagine.
To be fair, you timed your short little break between recordings, which I appreciate. Fair play to you.
Oh, nothing gets in the way of the TNG show, Tom.
No. Yeah, do you know what? I had a fantastic weekend. I had no gigs this weekend, so I was working on house. Things are going fine. Only lost the plot a little bit with a delivery guy today. Try this on for size, Gerry. Ton of sand dropped. Drop it where you see the sand. The little driveway hooks around in front of the double bay garage.
Stands to reason.
To the high end, you'll see there was sand there previously. Your man 8 foot away, planks it right in the middle of the two bays, like out in the middle, to the point where he couldn't turn the truck. He had to back up my fairly long driveway the entire way, and not once did it cross his mind, maybe I'll throw the hooks into that again and maybe sling it over another 7 or 8 foot there, where all the sand was previous. We were only talking before we recorded that I'm keeping a cool head. I didn't completely
cool heads
lose
are prevailing. You're talking to a man here who I personally have delivered sand to the wrong area in my lifetime and had to go out and handball it. Ton sacks, I'm not handballing, ton sacks of sand, a ton of sand in 50 kilo sacks.
Yeah.
And me only a gas and Tom.
But this fella was out the gap before he could say goodbye. Like, he was gone. And herself was only landing on and was going, no, he's gone up the gap. So he should have a tepid, we'll call it, phone call happened not long afterwards.
Well, there's you're holding it down at home, Tom, giving out to lads, delivering sand, and I'm overseas giving out to guards in the Tower of London.
What are you doing talking to Paddington and all the... What?
Yeah, no, it's some lad. You're not supposed to take pictures of the crown jewels, apparently, and I took my phone out and took a picture. He's like, "Oh, mate, I told you not to be taking pictures."
By the crown jewels, you don't mean you took a dick pic, like you actually took a picture of the...
No, I didn't take a picture
jewels
of my royal jewels. No, I took a picture of the crown jewels.
Because to be fair, if you were at that inside the Tower of London, that'd be a different story.
And I took a picture of them, Tom, for all I care, right? I just, it wasn't like, oh, I must mark this occasion of seeing these goddamn things. I was just like, I was told not to, and here we are.
There we are. Never allowed back to the Tower of London again, no doubt.
Yeah. I was like, all right, yeah, calm down, Eggsy, or whatever the hell your name is.
No doubt. Yeah, I know. I can just picture you walking around, every hair on the back of your neck up, just like a dog that's backed into a corner. The big owl fiending stomping head, and you're wandering around going, yeah.
With that being said, if you're an English person listening to the Tom and Gerry Show, the feud is over.
Yeah, but it's the same. Even English people are like, really, really, what's all the pomp and
I
ceremony
gotta tell you,
about? Like,
I gotta tell you, the English do it right sometimes
they
now.
do,
Yeah,
they do.
can't knock a Greg's, Tom. I can't knock a Greg's.
That's the one thing I will allow in.
Gotta tell
No
you,
problem. I'd allow
no
him.
problem with the Greg's.
No
I'd give them another
history.
county for that, so I would.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh, or then again, maybe not. But I'll tell you one thing. It was just a short sojourn, and we will jump into the show proper now in a little second. Give us time, all right? You know,
All
we've got
right,
crack. You know,
relax, relax.
one thing that traveling gives me an opportunity to do, which I love, Tom. I mean, like, you know, my wife is a wonderful woman. She packs the kids' bags to make sure they have clothes, socks, pants, shoes, swimwear if we're going swimming, suntan lotion, sprays, travel deodorant for us, you know, everything. She takes care of all that.
Yeah.
And my job is the cables.
What? What? Oh,
I
the
gotta be
wires.
sure the
The wires.
wires.
Right, the wire. Right,
I
right.
gotta
Yeah.
take chargers, cables, plugs, adapters, everything. And I have it down to a fine art, Tom. I
I
have it
no
down to
doubt you do.
I
People,
don't know if I don't I have it actually here in my hand. I'm going to hold it up to the camera so you can see. It is an adapter
oh,
with
you wouldn't get that in a petrol station.
right, and it's got
Yeah,
a
yeah.
load of USBs on it and a USB-C as well. So now I know, like, okay, that's a phone, that's an iPad, that charges headphones, that charges AirPods or some other thing. And then
Right.
you can plug in this for hair straighteners, hair dryers, whatever else it is that's coming with us. Okay. And I have another one. This is an ordinary standard 3 pin for when you're traveling either to
I
England
have to
or
say,
up
Jerry, this
north,
is high-end audio right now. This is
right? Traveling to the disputed territories up the north. But I also have a 2 pin variant of
yeah.
this that if I'm going to Italy or Spain or someplace like that, I don't need a double adapter. It is the double adapter.
My God, Jerry. This is
And I have a little like IKEA freezer bag full of cables and things and power packs and all that. And that is my one responsibility for the whole trip. I don't book a flight, a train, a hotel, a
yeah.
trip to a museum. I do nothing. My one job as the man of this house is to make sure that we have cables for everything when we're on tour.
What a time we live in. Like the anxiety of things running out of juice. Now it must be a new feat. You know, it must be what they felt like in cave times when they saw the meteor coming. Do you know what I mean? From like a year out when they were like, nowadays we have electric cigarettes, we have iPads,
You
we
have
have
to charge your vaping pen? I
you got
don't,
to
you
charge
do.
your car. Got to charge your car now. Charge up your car. Imagine that. You got to charge the car. You got to
Charge car?
charge car. Like the
I gotta tell you one thing, Tom. Now I have had a mobile phone since what age am I now? 40 some odd. I've had a mobile phone for about, let's call it 25 years. It's
yeah.
not quite that, but it's not far off it. Uh, and I like to feel like the day I got a mobile phone, the devil may care nature in me that would perhaps, for the crack, jump into a body of water.
Yes.
Just
A
ended right
hundred
there.
percent. Do you know what? We have to put the poll, create a poll somewhere where we can put this in a small question on our Twitter because even watching it on television, when I see somebody going, "Hey, sure, let's jump
Hey,
in,"
I'll
I'm
just
going,
jump into it. Where's your phone?
and to credit Colm O'Regan, a fantastic comedian
Oh,
and
call him
writer from,
miss.
he had a great bit where he saw a guy chuck his dog into the canal and jump in after him on a warm day. But he said there was a moment where you noticed the dog looking back at the world, and the look could only be described as, "Oh, my fucking phone," feeling,
Yeah,
feeling down his
that is it.
pockets.
Like I watch every Christmas we watch It's a Wonderful Life, and if you've seen the movie, there's a bit where the dance floor splits and it's a swimming pool under it, and
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah,
everybody's just like, ah, fuck it, let's jump in, and they all jump in and they're having a great time. Like for 25 years, I'd be like, okay, where am I going to put my phone that nobody's going
yeah,
to rob it?
yeah, yeah. To kick
Other
off
than
my
that, Tom, you would never get me out of a canal.
oh, for God's sake, for God's sake. But yeah,
I'd just be jumping
we're
in fully clothed for a splash around on a hot day and not be like, oh no, I better put my phone somewhere it's not going to get robbed.
yeah, we're at least we're of an era where we go. It's still sappy, isn't it? It's sappy. to care
Yeah,
about
yeah, yeah,
electrics. It's
yeah.
absolutely sappy to care about electrics. Like, oh God, yeah.
But like before that, when I was 18, you yourself as well, Tom, 18 to 20 or whatever, when we
Oh,
did not have a
missing.
mobile phone, like, you had your house keys, and as long as you don't stay in the water for long enough for them to rust, you're fine.
Yeah, yeah.
And if you have a fiver in your pocket, it'll dry. Its chances are all you have is
One
kind. You're
hundred
grand.
percent. 100%.
Uh,
Gee.
and yes, yeah, that's all that's keeping me from frolicking in the water all
Good.
I want. But Tom, let's go on some more travels. Let's go on some more travels. Let's start this show. This is a jet setting episode of the Tom and Gerry show because we've already been to London, but we're gonna go somewhere else here now for the big noise of the week, the brouhaha, the shenanigans, Tom, the weekly what have you.
This is a very complicated case, Maud. You know, a lot of ins, a lot of outs, a lot of what have yous, and a lot of strands to keep in my head, man. You know.
My God. Um, I saw so much of this thing that it didn't actually register initially because I'm looking at it going, what? Why?
What are we doing here?
There's so much why are we doing this? But the world does go on regardless of the big news stories, and
Yes.
art installations and things like that do get put into places. And I mean, God, I love and I get embarrassed by Ireland so
I
many
love
times.
I love my country and I love my countrymen. But what we're talking about here, ladies and gentlemen, is the big news of the weekend. While I was in London, not because of me being in London, but just so happened while I was in London, an art installation was placed in Dublin's Talbot Street that linked it via video to New York City. The portal, they call it, Tom. And it does look kind of like a Stargate. It's a cool
My
looking thing.
first thought was Target, and somebody put up on Twitter. They were going, "Well, what? Give it the new nickname." Like they all have nicknames for
Yes.
statues and stuff like the
The time and
rhyming
the
one.
slime, yes.
Yeah, and people are
So it's
finding,
one thing. The Dubliners love to give a rhyming name to things,
yeah.
and that is why I can't stand them.
Well, they were all giving
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. But you've got to knock that
it
shit
was
off.
Paul Howard. He was on and he was talking about, or he put it up. He says maybe we should put it over in the Coombe and call it, I don't know, something in the Coombe
The
or
Zoom and the
the
Coom. I
Zoom
saw
in the
that.
Coombe,
Yes,
and I couldn't help it. I went, really, it should be just uprooted and put over to the south of the canals and called the Portal Bellow.
that
Now,
works.
but see, it works, Jerry, and
There's nothing that doesn't work there.
because it didn't rhyme with anything, I don't think anybody appreciated it at all.
Yeah, no. The best I seen, if I can call it that, was the hole by the pole because it's close to the spire. I guess that works. You could call it the wire by the spire, I suppose. But regardless of which you want to call this really cool looking Stargate thing, which allowed people in New York, and I guess it was Times Square, was it?
Yeah,
To wave over at those of us that stuck it out in the famine. Uh,
bunch of bunch of tater dodgers.
you know, those of us that weren't quitters. Um,
Us and the Bull McCabe stuck around.
right? And it's a Zoom link, okay? And what did we do with it, Tom?
What did Ireland do? Well, first I'll tell you what the Americans did. They were absolutely lovely and American about it because
Serene would
they
say.
conducted themselves like people who had armed police officers walking around Times
Right.
Square. I stood off the footpath at a slightly greater than 90, maybe 3 degrees one time to cross the road in a very long previous episode. You will know about that trip to New York. And I hadn't another foot off when two cops were on me, hit me for jaywalking. So there's a
Bang.
lot of conducting yourself these days in Times Square, which is exactly what the Americans were doing. They were waving, they were so happy. They
They were
had
so it was a
placards written
wonderful,
up. I
you
have
know,
family in Mayo,
how
and
are you doing? All this kind of thing. Because like off screen, there was like I was going to say a soldier. There might have been a soldier, but there was at least a guard going like, "You will step up to the portal. You have 45 seconds to wave at whoever is on the other side of it. After that, you will step away from the portal." And they were just like, "Yes, sir, absolutely."
yeah,
So that was a wonderful thing to see from the
that
New
was
York side.
nice. That was nice now of the Americans.
The Irish side, on the other
However,
hand,
oh,
you
Jesus.
do not give a cat a fish if you do not want the cat to eat that fish, Tom.
Much like Gerry taking pictures of the crown jewels in the tower, he was told not to. Well, I don't know if there were signs up saying "Don't be acting a maggot," which is possibly what they should have had around the one in Dublin, because the, I mean, the one true line of anybody. There was some lads that were there holding their phones up, text me. They were trying to chat women up either side, and you're like, all right, okay, there is
Shoot your shot, bro.
there's dating apps. You know what I mean? But there was people talking about they were back and forth. They were going to have flights, but the one through line through the whole thing was, and the one job the guards had, the Irish unarmed police had, was reefing men and women
Yes.
who decided, I'm going to absolutely flash either my arse or my genitals at New
Yes.
York's Times Square in the middle of the day, Jerry, because we're 6 hours ahead.
Yes. Yes.
So
Yes. I
for
did
all
notice
the
that.
booze, how did they think it was not going to work? Like,
How
for
would
all
they,
the
like,
drink, the drink that people were going to have at 10 o'clock, it was going to be 4 o'clock in the afternoon in Times Square.
like as they were announcing it, as they were like unveiling it, it was like, okay, we're gonna go live in 5, 4, 3, and all you hear is like belt buckles unbuckling on Talbot Street. It's like lads couldn't wait to moon this thing.
Yeah.
They just, and straight away, yes, indeed, get the arse out, moon a bunch of Americans. I mean, it's hard to be mad, Tom, because that was just going to happen. I'm sorry.
In no way was I angry at it. There was a moment where I'm like, do you know what? I would have been more probably aghast, if I've ever been aghast in my life, if people were just continuously waving at it. I was like, well, what has become of Ireland here? What
You
has
know,
become of us? We're
I
just
think there's
waving and showing placards.
it's
Next
it's
Glenn
it's it's
Hansard is
like,
going to be up there with a guitar.
it's
That's
like
where we're at.
given a toddler a biro and a bare wall, and you come back and he's scribbled all over the wall, and you say, "Well, who gave him the biro?"
Yeah, there you go. The
With
right,
respect, now,
the right
like
thing would have been to have it blank at one end. Do you know what I mean?
the
And
right
not
thing
send
I
it.
would imagine would be to have a 5 second delay, like they have on TV, and have someone
Yeah.
manning it at all times, just in case, Tom. Someone walks up with a picture on their phone of the Twin Towers on fire and holds it up to it.
I'm not going to lie,
For
Jared. I would
outright
not be surprised if
devilment.
that has happened.
Tom, it has happened. You mean you wouldn't be surprised it hasn't happened? It has happened. People have been holding up, like, opening Pornhub on their phone and holding it up to them
Great.
and saying, "Here
Great.
you go."
Yeah. Brilliant. Brilliant. And I noticed the Americans, I haven't seen what it's like shot. They haven't seen pictures from it on the other side, but I bet you the Americans are not allowed up to it. Because there seems to be a group of Americans every time they're shown, so it looks like it's from a distance of 20 foot back. Of course,
Right.
the Irish lads are able to go up and lick it,
Oh, lick it. Yeah.
you know. And you're like, I'm just going to rub a ball off the camera here just for the
Yeah.
crack. Like,
What the hell? Um, Here's the thing. It's a wonderful thing. Yes. Yeah, I'm gonna give it a 10 for the idea, and I'm gonna give it about a 7 for the execution. God, it should have been a delay on this thing. I'm sorry.
I probably would have
You
picked in a.
can't be trusted with a live camera. They don't use live cameras on the news, Tom. Okay, that's
I
the
know they
news.
don't. I know they don't. They don't use live on the radio either, just in case you get Mad
Just in
Mary
case
ringing up.
someone turns around and says, "Oh, nope, yep," and the catchers and the beepers. So why they said that this was a 1-to-1 live? Hey, that's art for you, baby. What can I tell you?
Why not do it during the St. Patrick's Day parade? Do you know what I mean? When you know there's going to be something at least going on. This is just people with nothing to do and all nothing for doing and all day for doing it. Do you know
And
what I
all
mean?
day for doing it. Yeah.
I mean, I'm not going to lie. If I still lived in Dublin, in the city centre, and I was in my 20s, would I go up and act the maggot? Act the bollocks?
I would act the maggot, Tom, but I would like to think I would be at least a little bit creative about it.
Yeah.
Okay,
So,
now anybody. Okay, we're going to come back to it in 2 seconds. We're going to jib jab here, Tom, but in the back of your mind, think of the most creative thing you
right.
could do with
Yeah.
this portal while I talk to you about the fit Joe Duffy spot out on his Joe Duffy show talking about it. He was, no, it's a terror. Oh, and I'm like, no, Joe, this is exactly what it is. And not for nothing, got to tell you, it would have been a wonderful thing 20 years ago. All right. Before if I want to see Times Square, I can open up the world webcam thing here on my computer and look at it right now. I can look at Temple Bar right now. I can look at the freaking top of the Taj Mahal right now. We have this technology. So it's not news to me that I can go live to Times Square.
Right.
But
Yeah.
that it was this so-called window from one to the other where you could wave and all that kind of thing. Okay, yeah, I guess, I suppose.
Yeah, I mean, for the notion of it is wow. But when you actually break it down, you're like, huh? So what is it like? Do you
Ah,
know,
sure, what?
like,
Yeah,
what
sure. I
is
have
it?
the, I FaceTime on my phone. I can FaceTime my cousin, and I'm
I
not
could
going to
be
ring a cousin
canoeing
I have
I could
in
be
New
canoeing
Jersey and say,
yeah, we
yeah,
could be
go in and wave at
kayaking.
me.
The two of us could be on a double kayak in South Kerry, and you could go, Tom, will we have a look? Will we have a look at Seoul right now and what's
Yeah,
going down in South Korea? You go, "Hey, yeah, let's do
yeah,
that.
that's a
So,
thing we could do for good or for ill. So have you had a thought, Tom? Maybe what would you do rather than just we're not just going to show our arses.
no,
What do you
no,
got?
no,
What do you
no,
got,
no.
buddy?
I gotta sell something. I gotta
Ooh.
perpetrate a myth about Ireland. That's what I have to.
Okay, okay.
Because you've got an opportunity to fool a bunch of people. I'm not no David Blaine, but at the same time, you've got, for the want of a better phrase, gormless, poor old bastard Americans walking around Times Square going, "Oh my God, it's Ireland." You're like,
Ireland.
"You're damn right." Well, I worked in the panto business. There was a team of lads you could hire
Okay.
on a particular year that you were doing Snow White, if you needed to, and you could hire these lads. They were professional actors, and there was teams of them. Like, but you could hire the seven lads, all small fellas.
Snow. All right. So little people.
Yeah, you could hire them, and the lads were class. They were big money now, big money, because they were the real deal. Like, you know what I mean? They knew they were proper actors. Like, and this was their, a lot of the time they get picked up for
Hey,
this role. I'm just thinking, if you're gonna go all the way and literally leprechaun it up, I think, and just to have people nonchalantly, receive gold from him in front of him, a bunch of
like
gormless
this is
Americans,
just.
and just say, "Oh, hey, hi, God, you
Oh
just
yeah,
saw
no,
me."
that's the yeah, no, they come here every day.
Oh, every day. This is literally, yeah, this is their route home to the
We're
netherworld.
kicking
Yeah,
these lads out of the way.
yeah. So, what? You don't have leprechauns?
You don't?
What?
Yeah, no, the stories are true. We got them running around the place.
I think you just have to do something to fool, because it's your one opportunity where they can't see behind the curtain. Put on a show.
I like it. I like
Do you
it,
know?
Tom. It's theatrical. That's what I like about it. I'd lean into the theatrical as well. Now, this would take a little bit of I'd need a guy. I'd need maybe a couple of guys to help me out here.
Okay.
Okay, I'd go down with like a bag of clothes. Okay, so I'd go down to um the thrift shop, as Michael Moore would say, and I'd just like buy up a bunch of clothes. Okay,
Okay.
all right, and I'd have like some people with me that could perhaps like, you know, I'd go clean shaven, shall we say,
Right. I have no idea where this is going, by the way.
and I would hang out and I would watch the screen until someone walked onto it, and I was like, I have that outfit in the bag. And then I like say he had a red jacket or and
Yeah.
blue jeans and a red cap. I have that. I have that. And I get red jacket and I get me blue jeans and a cap, and I'd walk out a mirror image of him in Dublin.
Okay, right. Yeah, 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 yeah. Okay. All right,
And I
this is some Black Mirror stuff where there's another
yeah. And I'd have like I'd have like you know
prosthetics.
a piece of welding glass over my eyes or something. And I'd just walk out and stare.
Okay, you're looking to trouble people by the sounds of things,
Yeah.
Gerry. I like it.
Yeah. Yeah. And he'd be like, oh my God, that's me. And then I'd have like a bunch of people just like grab me and haul me off.
I won't lie, Jared. The edges need smoothing and on your plan, but I like it.
You know,
I mean,
oh,
you're dedicated.
just have like a half dozen different colored t-shirts and jeans and hats and whatnot, and just wait for somebody that you're like, okay, uh, green trousers and yellow t-shirt. It's Scooby Doo and the gang.
I was gonna say, has fucking Ned Flanders shown up? Jesus Christ!
And then just like stand out and like, you know, have something weird, like weird glasses or welding glass or something, just something that looked real sort of Black Mirror and like, "Arr." And just as he recognized me and pointed me, just like fucking disappear.
Do you know? Well, as I was thinking,
Because I can go yell at tower guards an hour away. This one here, I'm gonna do
the
something special.
first thing I saw, and you said it out loud, you went, "It looks like the Stargate."
It looks
Now,
like the Stargate, yeah.
if you now, conspiracy theorists would tell us that it's a psyop because of the Stargate in Iraq that's there and all the rest of it. But I think it look. How good would that episode have been if Richard Dean Anderson, or if you went back to the Kurt Russell days, They walk through expecting to see wild creatures, and they landed into Dublin. They'd be like, "Well, yeah, this is about right. Yeah,
Yeah, you know, yeah, mission accomplished.
mission
Send
to
me
come.
back to the
Now
send
we'll
me
go back
back to
now."
the Egypt planet there. Yeah.
You remember the big
Oh
dog's
my
head?
god.
Jesus. Yeah,
Okay, well,
the hole in
plenty.
the pole in the
The,
hole, whatever.
whatever you guys want to call it. That is, there were quite a number of lads that showed their skills at the hole in the pole, Tom.
Yeah,
Uh, but for every lad that does something like that, there's a lad that just goes one beyond. Someone that becomes the star of the week. The guy that when you're talking about him, Tom, you don't say, "Oh yeah," and then there's this lad. You say, "And then there's this
this
lad."
lad.
Now there's that guy.
This lad, I skimmed by him accidentally because I didn't believe what I was reading. If you know what I mean. For it doesn't. It didn't.
Yeah,
I was
that's the
going,
best kind of this lad's.
what in the name of?
You
Because
know,
Jesus,
to
what?
achieve true this lad territory, you need to read it and then own like Bishop Brennan. You need to be like,
Yeah,
100 yards up the road and go like, hang on a second here.
yeah, yeah, and that's literally what this was because I went, no, I'm reading that wrong because I've made fun of this scenario on stage. If anybody wants to go see my last special, Clattered, there's definitely a bit in the middle about this. Not this particular story because it's from 2 years ago, but at the same time, it kind of ties in with what the shit?
What the?
This
So
one's about.
tell everybody about this lad, or is he indeed a this lad? You
Well,
see,
I don't
anybody
know.
can be a this
I
lad.
mean, technically, you could look at it from any point, from the owner or the actual pet itself. This is Wally, the pet owner, owned by a chap called Joey in Pennsylvania, and Wally, the pet alligator. Yes, you heard that right. The lad that looks like a crocodile. Alligator, the American ones. He had a pet one of those, but he wasn't just a mad whore, like, walking around with a crocodile like bloody, hi, Steve, Lord of Mercy on Steve Irwin. This was his emotional support alligator, which I tell you one thing, Jared, that's a tough sell trying to get into any cinema.
I
Do you know
gotta
what I
tell
mean?
you,
Like, getting onto any plane with Wally is going to prove essentially you're walking around with a nose to tail 165 million year old predator. Like they're like sharks. They didn't need to change.
no,
They literally
they're
went
just
from
fine
whatever, Spinosaurus, I'd have to ask my 4-year-old on this, to this guy. And it's
to
literally,
this guy,
he got rid of the spine back and got a bit smaller, and that was it.
and that was about it.
He was 7 foot long, and now on a look from Joey's point of view, he helped him out. He was a
Yeah.
positive thing in his life. He helped him out, cured him of depression. I mean, you could go for a pheasant, go for anything, but this.
I get the whole. I gotta tell you, Tom. I just want to say the whole emotional support animal thing. I'm all for it.
Oh,
If
100%.
if you watch your buddies getting blown up in Kandahar or whatever it was, and you came back and you got it like a little service dog that's your emotional help animal that's helping you through some tough times, wonderful. Can't endorse it enough. If you've got an emotional support budgie, that's grand. Hamster, that's fine. Cat, okay. Now, once you get into, as you say, they're 7 foot killing machines.
Yeah. Now, look, I mean, like that, a cat was where I was coming from on mine, where I heard somebody in a genuine in a restaurant say this cat was their support animal. And we all know that cats have only time for one person. That same fucking cat.
Yeah.
Now, Wally's gone missing. This is the problem.
This is what
the
brought him
article.
into our news this week. He
Yeah.
is gone.
He's gone ski. Now, tis a terror. He's in an awful way about it, apparently, Joey, which understandable. I've never been attached to an alligator in my life. The handful of times I've come across him, I was briefly living in Florida, and I literally was only talking about it today. I said, think about Florida and why we've no business there. You walk from your car or from the house to the car, both things are nice and air conditioned. But in that 10-foot walk, your balls will stick to your leg. You sit in the car, you drive up to the junction, and there's a dinosaur looking out of the ditch at you.
You may or may not get eaten.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, you can't walk anywhere because of the heat. But if you did decide I can handle the heat, you might get eaten by a big giant mouthful of teeth, just tearing killing machine.
Just a killing machine.
I'm just saying, it's a bit of a stretch. He became famous last year because they tried to get him into, I don't know, was it a Dodgers game or
yes,
he was
he tried to get
into
into
a
a ball
baseball
game.
God, like, You're not
You
convincing
know,
any
and
any
yeah.
bouncer. No bouncer on in the world has that in the book, Jerry. Where they
Tom, I
go,
couldn't get into a nightclub wearing runners.
fucking runners made out of alligator skin,
Right?
maybe.
And
Gee,
this guy's got an alligator, and this is life comes at us fast, so we haven't perhaps done as much um, deep drilling into Wally the alligator. I don't know. He's had this alligator for like 15 years. Where he came upon him, I don't know, but he's basically raised him as a pet in the house,
he was a
and he's
rescue.
become
He
his
was a
like
rescue.
he was. Oh, he was
He
a
was they found him abandoned or whatever, and he was only small. He was only a little squeak of a thing, and I suppose you raised him from then. Like, but talking to anybody I know who handles, like, even you know the birds of prey handlers,
yeah,
and they put the little caps over their eyes. I'm like, it's not a bit cruel. Like, they're just sitting on the hook. He goes, I'm not codding you, Tom. They only fly to feed. They don't care. They don't have that care gene in them to go,
right.
oh God, I wish I could go for a walk. I wish I could go for a recreational fly. They don't. Put the cap on my eyes when I'm full. Take the cap off when you got something to give it to me. Other than that, leave the fucking cap on, man.
I'm
I,
like a reverse
they're
fridge.
they are just predators. Their only MO is predatoring. And when have you ever seen a crocodile or an alligator on any, and I've watched a lot of these shows where lads have fingers missing. Do you know what I mean? They got an ankle gone, their calf muscle is gone, and they've all gone, I knew that damn gator for 35 years. I raised him by off my own titty. That dang gum. And it just all of a sudden, he didn't turn up with the rashers early enough one morning. And Freddie,
You know,
the alligator,
chomp.
has decided chomp. Yeah.
I'm gonna do my best for this alligator. Okay. By all accounts, he wouldn't hurt a fly. And
Alligators don't eat
Joey
flies,
Henny,
Jerry.
sorry,
They
he
don't
spells
eat
his name
flies.
funny, Joie, Joey Henny, or Joie Henny. I don't know. Let us know in the comments. Um, has had this alligator for 15 years and takes him all around the place, and he's a known commodity. That's Wally the alligator. He's like left turn Clyde. That
Yeah.
it's not strange that Clint Eastwood is wandering around with an orangutan in his van. It's not strange that Joey Henny is wandering around with an alligator in his truck. You can go up, you can pet him, you can hug him, and the alligator is fine.
Because he's full of mate. I guarantee he does not leave the house without being full of mate. I guarantee you. I knew a fella that had a fox. He raised him from a pup. He had a fox. He would sit on his shoulders, and he'd walk him down the road. But as soon as you go to pet that fox, if it was anyway hungry,
Oh, he
he'd
bite at you.
nip you because he just couldn't help it. It was like, well, what you gonna do? Like, look, I'm not dissing the guy for having it. Who do we know?
No.
We've never had one. But
No,
what
and are
happened?
unlikely to. But
What
this
seems to have
this is
happened?
only a bit of the story, Tom. Give it to us. What have we got?
So what seems to have happened? He went on a bit of a hollybop down to Georgia, just above Savannah, right? And now Georgia, you'd be getting into territory. Do you know Pennsylvania? Not too many. You'd get a bear or two showing up. It's cowled up there in Pennsylvania, so you get a bear or two showing up. But really, he was taking him back closer to where he's originally from, that kind of neck of the woods.
Right.
They have him down there, is what I'm saying. They have him. Do you
He's
know?
not the only gator in town anymore.
He's not. And by all accounts, he had him in a little. I don't know what Airbnb you ring up. My God.
And say, oh,
Like,
by the way, I'm bringing an alligator.
you're bringing a fucking alligator to Alligator Town. Like, what do you, okay. You probably
All
think your
right.
man was gassing, just some mate of his was called the alligator. Like, all right, yeah, bring the alligator. And he had a pen in or out the back for him.
Right.
Apparently, a call came into the local, I suppose, pest control. Jesus, pest control. And then
Gator squad.
Gator squad that there was a troublesome gator on the loose. Your man went, well, I went ahead and picked up a gator that night. Does kind of fit Wally's description, but he's a gator. I released him. He didn't. I can't verify if it was. I don't know. I mean, I'm not saying he should have painted his toenails to let everybody know, but at the same time, put a
One
collar
would
on him or something.
put a
Do you know?
collar on him if he's your emotional support. I'm not victim blaming here, but god damn it, tag your gators, people. If you want to keep an alligator, then at least know where he's going to be. But yeah, as Tom is saying there, somebody rang the dog warden for alligators, whatever the equivalent is.
Yeah.
And he came around and found, yeah, all right, there is a wild alligator. I'm not going to say a domesticated wild alligator. There's a wild animal in the back of this house. And I'm going to do what I do, which is catch him and release him back into the swamp.
Yeah.
Which, I got to tell you, is a lot more humane than I'm just going to go and put the bolt gun through the top of his forehead. Which is what I would assume would naturally happen. But here we are. No, I'm just going to catch him and release him back into the wild. So that is where Wally is now. Wally is, we assume, in the wilds of Georgia in
And
a
it's probably
swamp.
after doubling in size, because if he's whatever years old, 40, he should probably be double that size.
Yeah,
Do you know what I mean?
he's getting that good swamp water into him
That
now.
good swamp. And at the same time, it wasn't like your man, when had a look, and he's an expert in alligators. He didn't go, geez, I wonder, does he belong to somebody now? Should I do a knock around?
Well,
This
he
guy's
might.
been lifting alligators for years. He's never once, I bet you, that has never crossed his mind. He's just looking, going, yeah, because nobody keeps an alligator as a
Surely
pet.
not. But
Do
with
you know?
that being said, Tom, every picture I've seen of Wally the alligator, he's got like a harness on like I have for the dog.
Yeah, but like women like to take
He's
their
got like the little dog, the little dog vest with like the canine on it.
yeah, but
He's got one of them.
yeah, but like after a hot day, a woman likes to throw off her bra.
Oh,
Do you
maybe
know
he
what I mean?
threw off. Yeah, just get this thing off me here. Let it get or live. All right.
Ah, set me free. Oh God, that'd eat into your back, wouldn't it?
So
That would eat into- So that's maybe what Wally did. He was like, God, and he just unclipped him. He had to give a bit of a shake. He was like, oh, glass of wine now. I am
oh,
absolutely
jeez,
burnt out. This
my
heat, this
scales.
heat, this heat, lads. Jesus, you wouldn't be used to it, would you? Huh?
And not for nothing, we're missing out a couple of points here, Tom, because life comes at you fast. This was one of the most famous alligators on the eastern seaboard. He had 200,000 followers on
What?
TikTok. And yeah, no, this is not just a random gator. This guy is like big news. This is like a star gator, and he had his little TikTok channel where it's like, here's me and Wally bopping around the place. And look, I'll be honest with you, I'm not a cold-hearted individual, unlike,
Cold-blooded, even.
say, for
Yeah.
example, an alligator. Okay? I hope that Joey Henney gets Wally back. I really do.
Yeah.
I genuinely do. But goddamn.
Yeah. And I mean, he put it down to Joe. He couldn't talk when he was flat out. He couldn't talk when the press rang. He says, "Geez, I haven't time. I'm on the lookout for Wally here." But he said it was basically messers, pranksters would have rang
Right.
in. And I would wager maybe he's got rose tinted glasses there. If you live in
Yeah.
Georgia and a gator shows up in the back of, say, a rented place, or, a motel or whatever, wherever he was staying, chances are you're not acting the bollocks ringing
No, you're genuinely
Gator Joe.
concerned
You know what I mean?
about the alligator that has just showed up within earshot of your property.
And he probably checked for tags and bracelets, whatever. None on. So figured I'll ring.
Yeah.
I'll
Here he
ring
is.
it in.
No tag, no microchip.
Nothing.
So,
Would you go down to the post office for the license for your alligator, would you?
yeah. What would you ask for? Okay. So that's it. That's it on Wally the alligator. I will say one last thing and we'll move on here. You can call your pet whatever you want, Tom, right?
Yeah.
And it's not, there's I don't even know if you want to call it an irony that he went missing and his name is Wally, because that wouldn't wash with the Americans, because they call "Where's Wally? Where's Waldo?" over there. So they're not
Yeah,
even.
I know.
You're gonna go and hit them with a wonderful "Where's Wally" joke, and they're just not
Oh,
gonna get it.
I walked away the second I saw it. I went, "Oh, it's an American." Oh yeah, no.
Yeah,
No,
forget about it.
Pointless.
Do you know why he's called Wally?
I don't. Is it after the cartoon Wally? No.
No. He is an alligator. He's Wally Gator, and that does not work as a rhyme, or a pun, or anything. I'm sorry, that doesn't work. Wally Gator, because he's an alligator.
No, that's acting.
No,
do you know what it is? It's Joey with an I in the middle of it. Fuck acting around with a name.
Exactly. And like, I'm gonna turn around and go like, I see what you were going for there,
But you
unless
missed hard.
You missed it. Unless you want to call him Wally Gator, the alligator. Okay, I'll give you that. But Wally Gator doesn't work for me, brother.
Jesus Christ, no.
I'm sorry.
I would have called him Boots.
Yeah,
Because
perfect. No
Because
notes.
when he's done, you know
Yeah.
what you're getting.
Snap. I'll call him like, Wally Gator. Doesn't work for me, brother, but we hope that Joey Henney finds Wally again.
Yeah, answers on a postcard as to the percentage of
Yes.
the chances of if you think Wally is actually going to show up after being released in uh, Savannah, Georgia, where they
Yes.
hang out.
Yeah.
Just saying.
And that is that, Tom. That is that. That is our show for the week. Look at that. We got through it. We had contentious issues such as portals to New York, the English, and alligators. And you and I didn't even fall out.
Not once, but
Not once. Oh,
while we're at it, uh, I've a feeling. I feel we should start a row.
My attitude is don't start nothing, won't be nothing.
Why not? Why not?
we get
Why
so
not?
close to the finish line every
Darryl,
week,
look
Tom.
at look at
Every week we could see the front door, and then we start a row.
because I know
Brings me back to my nightclub days. What can I say?
I
Me and my
know
runners for a fast exit.
I'm getting quieter in my old age. I'm not losing the rag as I used to, but at the same time, it's nice to run one back and just go, "Hey, McBride will he'll joust with me. He'll have a set too. Let's do it."
Okay, let's do it. Let's do it. What are we fighting about this week?
I would imagine, and I'm only spitballing here, but you've never shown me much love whenever I have thrown in the LOTR
The Lotter.
acronyms. The Lotter. I've thrown it out there a few times to see a little hook. I mean, we've danced around Star Wars, and you are a movie guy, but at
I like my movies.
no point have you ever leaned in and gone, "Jesus, you know what, Tom? I'm with you on the whole Lord of the Rings thing." Do you know, you've never, you know, like even like the I think, well, you were obviously more appreciative of Fred Dibnah at the front of the picture. And I don't know what's happening with, well, and it's absolutely brilliant. I wish I could record this, but right now we're on Zoom. But Fred's fingers, as he's holding that pint, are actually wiggling up and down. You won't see it there, but on my screen, I'm seeing Fred's fingers just
All
jiggling
right,
up.
that's creepy.
It's kind of creepy now that I
That's
just
creepy
brought
as
up
fuck.
Lord of the Rings. But there's actually two. There's two. There's an anime one, which can go in the toilet as far as I'm
Yeah, you can
concerned.
keep that now. Sorry.
But there's a new one being planned. Andy
Yes.
Serkis, the man who I'd say just gets the best phone calls. Andy Serkis is making a return as Gollum in The Hunt for Gollum, which they expect to be out in 2026.
This is a standalone Gollum film set within the existing universe of Lord of the Rings, as we would have seen.
Yeah. Now I would
Produced
be
by Peter Jackson.
Yeah, and going to be directed by Serkis himself, which is what I'm excited about
Yes.
because he knows what he's about. Like, but I would normally, right? I'd normally go, "You rotten bastards, you're crowbarring this in for the sake of crowbarring it in." But I kind of trust when I heard Circus is back on board and Jackson is back on board because that TV show they're after making, mother of Jesus. I can't see
I
where 100 million an episode, Gerry. 100 million an episode. No wonder they were
Well,
striking when the strike came around. They were like, "What? What do you mean I don't get caviar on my croissants in the morning?"
we're going to clear up a couple of falsehoods here, Tom, all right?
Right.
About where I stand with the Lord of the Rings or not, okay? I stand with the Lord of the Rings where I stand on any franchise. I weigh it up on the amount of stuff there is, and if good outweighs bad, then it's
Well,
good.
that's a
And I
fairly,
like it.
it's a fairly
It's
good
fairly
way.
safe,
Yeah,
right?
it's very, yeah.
Star Wars for me, there was 9 films, 10, 11. If Jesus Christ, how many is there now? Loads. And there was what I liked, and then there was what I didn't like, and what I didn't like outweighed it. Say if it was 10, then it outweighed it by about 7-3. That's a bad ratio. I'm sorry, right?
This sounds like the Monty Python trying to see if she's a witch. If she wears more than a duck, does she float?
But that original Lord of the Rings trilogy, love it. Can't speak highly enough of it. Rewatch it all there over the Easter bank holiday weekend. Watched the whole thing. Took 16 goddamn hours, Tom, but I did it.
Jesus. Good
All
man.
right?
Yeah.
Got no problems with it. Watched it in the cinema several times. Bought it, remember the look kind of leather bound DVD
Yes,
cases.
yeah.
I loved all that. All into it. The Hobbit movies came along. The first one I was like, okay. And the second I'm like, oh no. And then the third one I didn't even bother going to see it in the cinema. It's the only Lord of the Rings project that I have not seen in the cinema.
It was the one I saw it in the cinema, and do you know what?
I was like, it'll be all right. So where you are right now in the Lord of the Rings now, you're 3 for 3.
Yeah.
I beg your pardon, you're 3 meet 3.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
3 good, 3 bad. And now there came news that there was another standalone movie. I'm like, this could tip it. But what is there left to go? And you and I know our Lord of the Rings a little bit, Tom. There was a book
Mm,
called, I want to say, The Silmarillion or some such.
Silmarillion. That one is some deep reading. That's right up there with, that's Joyce. That is Homer Odyssey stuff. That's, oh, Jesus Christ, this is some
But
deep
that's like
reading.
it's like reading it's like reading stereo instructions, to borrow a phrase from Beetlejuice. Like,
Beetlejuice,
it's thick.
which by the way, while we're here, very, very, very excited to say that there's
Yes.
a sequel coming out later in the year.
I'm all for that. I think
Yeah.
we'll cover that in a later episode. So I'm like, okay, so they're doing the Silmarillion, fair enough. And then they turn around and go, no, we're not doing that. We're doing a standalone film about Gollum. And I'm like, well, when are you even going to set that? Because that lad melted into a puddle at the end of the last one. And we know from the start that he was out fishing with his brother, Deagle, and then he killed him for the ring. And
Uh-huh.
then we seen him like forget the taste of bread. And we seen him go into a cave. And then he turned into a wee ghouly man. What am I missing here?
And this is exactly it, right? I had read the Hobbit books. I read it before, or the Hobbit, the book of the Hobbit, which they spread too much butter over three there. That's what happened there. We've talked
That's
about this.
exactly what happened.
We've talked about this before, about different TV shows that could have been made, or different movies that could have, like, there's a new one, Civil War, coming out. I could have made a 20-part series by the looks of the
Yes.
trailer alone. Certain things, too much butter on, or too little
Not
butter
enough
on too
bread.
much bread. And that was
To
why there was
borrow a phrase from Bilbo himself.
exactly. There was one Hobbit book. There was three Lord of the Rings books. Why not follow that? Well, I tell you why I didn't follow it, Ger. $6 billion is what
Yeah.
that franchise has made. Like, the
Cha-ching.
only thing I would say is that I'm hoping that they learned from. They can't have looked at that and went, "Oh, nailed it again, guys. Nailed
Yeah.
it again." Do you know?
Nothing but net.
Nothing but they must have looked at it and went, "Oh, we acted the Wallachs a small bit there, didn't we? Dragging that one out. That could have been wrapped in a 3.5 hour movie. Like, that could have been wrapped." I think with Circus on Board directing it, I just like the cut of his jib when he does the gorillas and he does, the ape stuff, and he
He
plays a
he,
good
he
baddie and stuff, and he's directing and Jackson is writing it. I have a funny feeling a
he is a he
Kiwi,
is
a
a
Kiwi too would have to be honest with himself and go, "Can I have fish and chops?" You know, I got it bloody wrong, didn't I? I bloody got it wrong. Let's fucking smash this, because there's nowhere else they can go. It's done unless they
I
do the
will
Silmarillion.
if they're talking about the hunt for Gollum, then me knowing what I know about the Lord of the Rings, which would be a little bit like I wouldn't be smarter than the average bear, but I would be smarter than the average alligator, I guess. The hunt for Gollum, he gets hunted by the Nazgul to be brought to Minas, wherever it is,
Yeah.
to be tortured. And he's like, Baggins.
Baggins,
He
yeah.
gives up the information, right?
Yeah.
So that must be it, right? It's the hunt to find him, to catch him, to take him and
Yeah.
torture him.
I
Right?
I wouldn't be surprised if we saw a name change between now and then. It's 2026, they're banking on it, Ger. I can't see what they're hunting. Maybe there was other hunting that went on. Gandalf maybe hunted him a long time back. I'm guessing they're going to roll out. If Ian McKellen is still on the go, although let's be honest,
Oh, he'll have to be in there somewhere, yeah.
AI would totally work. Like, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? If it's either that, it's probably going to end up being Liam Neeson. Just saying. Do you know?
I will say, while Ian McKellen draws breath, no man is going to put on that grey wizard's hat but him. But like, what am I going to rewatch? This little goddamn fish skeleton of a little ghouly man. Like, he's no crack, Tom. He's no crack.
He's
not
good
going to have
crack.
He's not going to have a.
I reckon he's good crack. Like when he was trying to do the riddle, the fishes. Do you know? I think I'm suspending what happened with the Hobbit, and I'm going,
Yeah.
all right, I'll wipe the slate clean for you, but you're only getting one slate.
You're
clean.
getting one.
One.
I mean, you know what?
You
He's
start
not gonna
pricking
have, like,
around now, and you start rolling out, like, because my cage has been rattled with that TV show. I don't know where 100 million an episode went. 800 million is what it cost.
I'll make my opinions on the TV show known, Tom. I watched the first episode of it. I thought, okay, I don't mind that.
Yeah.
I can see what they're doing here. That's grand. And there's a little bit of mystery, and I can see where there's a story to be told. And then the missus goes, "Do you want to watch another episode?" And I was like, "No."
Yeah, because
No,
I'll be
I'm
honest with
good.
you, Gerry, everybody just danders around, not
Everybody
really
just
doing
flutes
anything.
around, yeah.
fluting around, not really doing anything.
And that's what I will not forgive with this Gollum movie, Tom. I will go see it in the cinema, don't you know? But I'm going to tell you what this needs to be. This needs to be an 85-minute thriller.
Oh
This needs
yeah,
to be an
yeah, yeah, yeah,
85.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
If this thing is a 3-hour epic of this little ghoul kitting around the place with no romantic interest, no comedy, he can't even hold a sword, Tom.
I look
He can clutch a rock in his hand and hit a thing with it.
much like much like the new game, like the Game of Thrones that came out when the boss man stood away, all together and said, "Ye would tip away with the way you're going to do the franchises of the dragons." I got 2 episodes into that and went, "Well, that can absolutely fly up my hole. That
Yeah,
is
I was like,
absolute."
you'd be all right.
Oh, oh. So
I'm
I'm
like, if you like it, if you enjoy it, I'm happy for you. But
I'm telling you now, I've a funny feeling they've seen the error of their ways. I'm not saying that Jimmy Nesbitt, when you put him into your movie, you're kind of selling short, but at the same time, they dragged the arse out of the
I,
Hobbit, and
I,
I don't see
I,
him doing the same with this. I'm
I,
I'm I'm intrigued to see what they do. I'm intrigued to see what they do.
I always feel so bad for the 13 actors that played the 13 dwarves across the 3 Hobbit movies, because when they came in, when they got cast, they must have thought their ship had come in.
Oh yeah,
They were
sure. I
like,
mean,
oh my God, we are going to be beloved. We're going to be iconic. People are going to be getting tattoos of us. And I don't remember 3 of their names.
no, 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 and
And when I say I don't remember their characters' names, I don't remember their characters' names or their names themselves. I have Jimmy Nesbitt and there's that fucking good-looking lad from up the north. Jimmy
Oakenshield.
Nesbitt's Jimmy Nesbitt's found rotten there that I didn't describe him as the good-looking lad. No, there was a young lad and he's Irish. He's a young sort of fucking
Jamie
heartthrob kind of
Dornan.
guy.
He's not in it.
No, no, no. See, I can't even think of his name. And then
There you
there's
go. Yeah.
Oakenshield was Richard Armitage that I've seen and enjoyed in a couple of things. And the rest of them, I don't know who the hell these people are.
No, no, but yeah.
And they were in $3 billion movies and
And
for
this
a total
is
of 12 hours of screen time. And I don't know any of their names. And
for
I
back
paid money to see them.
for lore. Apparently, Tommy Tiernan turned down a role as one of them because he had no idea what was going on. He was like, "Ah, no, no, you're grand, you're
You'll be
grand.
all right.
You'll be all right." Me selling out giant theaters everywhere. I'll stick with that. Thank you very much. So, well, look, you maybe, I think we're closer than I thought we were going to be, but at the same time, you're kind of
Yeah, this is their absolute
you've got a
very
cocked
last
fist,
chance.
right? Whereas I'm kind of like, look, I've got the hands open. I'm willing to take you back in, but I swear to God, you make one bad move, Jackson, and I swear to God,
We're
you
done.
made, and we are done. We're
We are
out.
done professionally.
I'm throwing your clothes out the window. I'm cutting up all your stuff. You can have your Akon CD back. That's it. This is get your
Yeah,
shit out of my
that's
house.
where I am as well, Tom. You guys are 3 good movies, 3 bad movies. This is the 7th. Bottom of the ninth, or whatever they
Yeah,
say in baseball. I
yeah,
never
yeah.
really understood it, but this is make or break time. And this is make or break time for the Tom and Gerry show. We had a big week this week in the social medias, which you can follow us on at Tom and Gerry on Twitter, and I'm sure at Tom and Gerry on Instagram will get you there as well. We crossed 1,000 followers on
We
Twitter.
did.
Thank you all very much for that. And we hope you enjoy the little bonus bits and pieces that we're putting up, including, Tom, a poll on when it was okay for Irish men to wear shorts. When do we let the pale legs out on show, Tom? The options were on the hottest days, during the summer months, all year, rain or shine, or indeed never. And everybody seems to be in agreement, or at least 50% of the vote seems to be in agreement that during the summer months, it's all right to let the stork's legs dangle out of the nest.
Yeah.
And a worrying 28% of you say keep them pale white beauties out all year round. Okay.
We had a
I've
message
been that
from
soldier. I gotta tell you, that ain't the way.
we have a message from long-term listener Chris, Chris with a K. He'll forgive both, but the one thing he cannot forgive: linen trousers and sandals. You've entered a new era in your life if you're in, linen trousers and sandals, I
I'm
think.
not. I'm not going to start a second row with you
No,
here, Tom. I'm going to save it for a later date. But if I'm wearing sandals, I'm also wearing socks. I'm sorry.
yeah,
Drag me to the grave. That's
yeah.
just what I'm doing. More on that in a later episode. And we also threw it out to you. What would you say if I told you that I was very smitten with a young lady called Emer Quinn who came in and out from work, and we had another chap, he chimed in, Chris,
Yeah.
not with a K.
No, what a great story.
Standard issue, Chris. So like we are over indexing and Chris is over here, and we've got regular scheduled Chris with a CH, and then we've got Chris Cross will make you jump that you chimed in there as well.
Mickey,
Chris,
Mackey, jump. Chris, yeah, he was delighted with the new show. Gerry's story about the woman going into the hardware store reminded me of when I worked in Wix. So that's all right. Wix is all right. They're probably all
this
owned
week's sponsor is Wix.
they're probably owned by Screwfix anyway. This one glorious summer's day, this is great. An incredible woman came into the store and needed help getting a full pallet of sand into her car for the pallet for a guy doing her patio. She had a fucking Peugeot 206, Gerry. Jesus, great car.
I have been there loading cars where I'm like, this thing's scraping off the ground. They're like, go on, throw another couple of bags in it. All right, it's your suspension. Don't get on me.
So
Can
this
you
is
sign this, please.
And I'm so ignorant. I still wouldn't even think of it being in ton bags. I was thinking, but it's obviously 25 kilo bags. Luckily for me, she was made 5 trips. So here was me handballing these bags into the car, sending her on her way and then coming back. On the last trip, she said, if you're out in town tonight, come into Wildcats and I'll get you a few drinks. A naive 18-year-old didn't know that Wildcats was a strip club. Not only did I get a few drinks, she gave me a lap dance too. Well, that's love.
You know, I gotta tell you, that is a heartwarming story,
Isn't it?
And I gotta tell you, there are plenty of men that loaded pallets of sand into Peugeot 206s in their time. Got nothing.
Just a thank
this
you.
fella's over here
Thank
getting
you.
free drink and a lap dance.
I'll be honest with you, even if it was a bloke that was the stripper and offered me a lap dance and a few drinks, I would have been smitten. I would have been absolutely delighted because it's nice to be appreciated, isn't it, Gerry?
I'm taking it. And it is nice to be appreciated, Tom. And we love our listeners who are following us. And indeed, some of them are subscribing to us, but some of them haven't done it quite yet, Tom. So what do they do?
Whatever platform you're on, hit subscribe right now. Typically, it's Apple, it's Spotify, it's all the usual suspects. If you can, hit subscribe. If you can possibly rate as well, hit the highest rating. Do us a favor. What it does, it makes it more available and more exposed to other people getting to see it. If we've higher ratings, i.e., 5 stars, if you can leave a comment, brilliant. If you
would be wonderful.
Do like a bunch of people have done. Screen grab your message underneath. Maybe tag us so at least we get to see it. And of course, we will repost it and whatnot. And if you do want to send us any more stuff like that, please do. Cracking stories to align with it.
If you leave a comment on it, you may show up on the show. Look at these 2 Chris's. Look at the glory we heaped on them.
Crisscross. Miggity Mac will make you jump. I'm just saying.
As well. All right, Tom. I've gone without chewing them in my mouth for quite long enough today.
Fantastic. I have gone without tea, and I haven't lost my plot at all. So I'm off to maybe run into a hedge. Till next week, Ger.
Good luck.
Good luck.
Tom and Gerry Show is sponsored by findavenue.ie.
For over 10 years, findavenue.ie has been working in the Dublin area, helping thousands of companies with all their venue needs. From corporate parties to away days, training seminars, conferences, summer barbecues to Christmas parties. The lot.
As a pair of comedians who know what it's like when the wrong venue gets booked for the wrong occasion, we can assure you that findavenue.ie is the go-to service when you're looking for a venue for your upcoming event. Simply contact them at findavenue.ie and they'll do the rest, saving you precious time and hassle.
Best of all, findavenue.ie is absolutely free to use.
Get out of here.
I'm telling you now, with findavenue.ie, free means free. No hidden costs or sneaky charges, all backed up with an incredible team offering you great customer service throughout the whole process. If you need a venue for anything from corporate day out to a quiz night, a gala dinner, or even a virtual event, findavenue.ie is your one-stop shop for all.
Head over to findavenue.ie to see how they can help you with your next event.
Thanks again to this week's sponsor for the Tom and Gerry Show, findavenue.ie.